Hi guys, it's Lucy and welcome back to another video. So recently, as students are getting offers, they're seeing what unis they're going to go to, a lot of students are asking whether they need a car for university. So I thought I'd talk about this a bit today and give you the pros of having a car, but also the side of where you might not necessarily need a car. I think students stress that if they don't have a car they can't do the degree, and some unis don't let you if you don't have a car and some do. So there's a lot to look at and a lot to compare, so I thought I'd talk about it today, talk about my experience and yeah, give you a bit of information that you might not know and hopefully it's a bit of help. So yeah, let's get straight on with the video. So I'm first going to talk about not having a car. Now I didn't have a car for the first 3 months I think of my first year, however I also wasn't on placement. It didn't matter too much. It all depends on where your uni is situated. My uni is very much away from the town centre, it's about a 50-minute walk, whereas other unis are right in the centre of everything, and then you definitely don't need a car for that. So that is definitely something to look into. It's actually something I didn't look into, and then it wasn't until I got to uni that I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to manage with this. But luckily I had flatmates who drove and they were very happy to drive me to the shops. I'd go with them if they were going, etc. And it worked like that. So first of all, a lot of students use them. There are taxis. Yes, they are expensive, but taxis are available most times of day, pretty much 24/7. So students do use taxis, they get to placement. However, some students are sometimes late because taxis are late, and you're also waiting at the end of your shift to get home if that taxi's not there on time. So there is that to think about, but taxis are available and they are used by a lot of students. Following on from that, by not having a car, you're saving on fuel and you're saving on insurance, road tax, MOTs, all of that sort of stuff, and it's very expensive when you're a student. For some reason they think every student is a boy racer and put the price up of everything. However, obviously by paying for taxis, the money that you're not spending on the car will probably go on taxis, and the options there. The next thing is not having a car is looked at by some unis. So some unis don't let you on the course without a car, as I've mentioned previously. However, the unis that let you on without a car, they may also look at your circumstance of not having a car and give you a placement close to where you're living. It's not always the case and it's not always possible, but the next thing is students do walk to placement, they do bike to placement. Obviously it depends how far away your placement is. I mean, I wouldn't go cycling to a placement that's 40-minute drive away, but for example, my drive is about 10 minutes, so students do cycle that. Students walk it, and I mean it gets your daily exercise in. I mean, I wouldn't personally want to do it at 5 AM in the morning and do it after a 12-13 hour shift, but some students like it and some students do that. There also is the option of car sharing. As I said previously, my old flatmates used to drive to the shops and I'd go with them. Yeah, students are usually quite keen to offer rides and stuff like that. You know, if they're going the same place, what's it matter? There was a student in my cohort who used to do walking all the time, and I'd drive past him on the way to shift, and so I'd text him in the mornings when I knew he was on shift and be like, do you want to lift? You know, we're happy to help each other out, so if the offer's there, yeah. So now let's look at the pros of having a car. First of all, placement. You may be allocated further away. So for example, some hubs are 40 minutes, an hour away. My uni tend not to place you more than an hour away, but if you don't have a car, you can't necessarily get there very easily. Moves on to my next point about public transport. It's not always available and it's not also always reliable. The same goes for taxis in the sense they might not always be reliable, but public transport isn't as 24-hour as a taxi service is. Obviously I'm only talking about my experience, but yeah, my area it's not very good with public transport, whereas other uni areas and getting to hubs might be good at that. The next thing to think about is whether the trust you're going to be working with has a limit on how many years experience you need driving a car. So for example, the trust I plan to work for has a guideline in place where we have to have driven a car for 2 years to actually get a job with them. So if you don't have a car at the start of your degree, you're going to have to get it while you're doing the degree in your first year. However, with placement, with exams, with essays, with the actual theory side of your degree, it's very difficult to find the time to do that. Some students probably do that, but it's just something to be aware of, that you might not actually be able to get a job with your trust if you haven't had your driving licence for 2 years. Then finally, this is more specific to me, but having a car has made my social aspect of life a lot more easier. I can get into town easier, I can go to the shops easily, we can actually go and do stuff, like I can actually go and do stuff with my friends out and about kind of thing. That is because my uni isn't in the centre of a town centre or a city centre kind of thing. Obviously some unis will be right in the middle, so you won't need a car to go to the shops, but it's something to look at if your uni isn't local to the city centre. Obviously you can walk it, but it's something to think about. So yeah, I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into whether you need a car at uni or not. I've tried to give you equal pros and cons kind of thing, so I'm not being very biased, although personally I have a car and it's very useful. But yeah, I will see you in a video very, very soon.